Today I want to share with you my top favorite products from the Simon Says Stamp Good Vibes release, and then I'm going to take a couple of those products and make a card for you. I will have all of these products plus the supplies I'm using in today's video linked down below and in the video description. Now, this is not everything in the collection. These are just my top favorites, and some of these sets I know are going to become super popular and sell out quickly. So if you are interested, I highly suggest checking them out right away. Hi everyone, I'm Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. I would love it if you subscribed, liked this video, and shared it with your friends. Now, the first thing that I'm going to share with you is actually a microfiber cleaning cloth. So this is a Simon Says Stamp branded cleaning cloth. It is just really a regular cleaning cloth or a microfiber cloth. It's kind of has that fuzzy feeling to it, but it does have a Simon Says Stamp branded tag on it. It is black, so it's not going to show all of that inky mess that you may use this cloth for in cleaning up your messes. I was just kind of feeling it because sometimes those cloths can stick to my fingertips, but this one seems pretty good. Next, I have some color blend panels. These are really amazing because if you just can't get the hang of ink blending or don't want to take the time to ink blend, these have all the work done for you. And there's a variety of colors in here. You are getting 8 designs and they measure 4¼ by 5½. So they are a perfect size for your A2 panels where you could just attach it to a card base. Another one of my favorites from this release are these sequence mixes. We first have Mermaid Tail, beautiful bright colors, and then we have Summer Blooms, and I just love that shimmery purple. These are always some of my favorites. These are the Bad Day, Good Day sentiment strips. So they come in black and white. And what this is you can use these for the front of your card if you don't want to stamp or just really need a quick card. You can trim these out either with your scissors, a paper trimmer, or a sentiment die. Now for these ones, they are black with white lettering and they are toner printed. So you can foil these with a fuse foiling system or a mini mink machine, and anywhere that is black is going to have the foil on it. There is also a white version, and that is same thing where anything that is black you can foil. So you could have a white background with foiled letters, or you can have a foiled background and white letters. Now, I will typically take these type of panels and I will place them into a storage pocket from Simon Says Stamp. I will have these linked down below. They fit these panels perfectly. I'm just going to go ahead and open these both up on screen so I can put them in their storage pocket. These also have a great variety in them, and they have them for all the different kinds of holidays. They have them for birthdays. This one happens to coordinate with a stamp set that I'm going to be showing a little bit later on in the video. So you can see there's some that say life is hard, holding space, it's okay to not be okay, things like that, that I feel like are very unique in card making. And afterwards, I am going to create a label because when I start trimming these panels out, I tend to lose the name of them. So I will do my label later on. Now we have some pre-scored card bases, and I feel like these are much anticipated, whereas these are the colored card bases. I have some from Simon Says Stamp. I don't really know at this time how many colors are available or are going to be available, but right now I have Fog, which is the one I have in my hand. I also have Sea Glass, which is the light blue, and then Soft Navy, which is that dark blue on the left-hand side. So the end result is going to be a 4¼ by 5½-inch card or an A2 size side folding card base. Next, I have some foil transfer cards. So there are 2 different designs, and I feel like these need a little bit more love and attention and explanation. So on the outside, it looks like they are the same thing, but they are really not. So as I pull these out, this first set here, these are a white panel with black lines. The black lines are toner. So again, you would do some foiling, whether you have a Gina K Designs fuse foiling system or maybe a mini mink machine or a laminator. And then this other packet is acetate, and it says it on the front that it's an acetate panel. So it's a clear panel and it's got the black printing on it. You can see it's the exact same design as the one down below on the right-hand side. These ones are called Seashells, so the entire background is seashells, and the way I can tell is I kind of flip it back and forth, and I'm going to tilt it a little bit, and I'll be able to see where the printing of the black ink is, and that is the side I want to foil. So the foil is going to attach itself to those black lines. The acetate panels are really great if you want to do an ink blended background, maybe turn that into a shaker card, or you can have the white panels, foil it, and then ink blend over the top. I'm going to try and get these in a video so you can see exactly how they are used. I just feel like they don't get enough love and attention, and they are beautiful. I really love that whole beach theme. These are a couple different designs, but now we also have another set that is called Beachcombing. So you can see here there are two different shells. On one panel, you're getting two of the same design, and then these are just some smaller shells, so you're getting two of those same panels as well. Again, you have it in a regular cardstock, and then you have some that are printed on acetate. Now, this is going to lead right into one of my other favorite sets from this release, and this is the Beach Combing stamp set. It is a large stamp set, and it's seashells, but they're layering images. And I love how Simon has done this. So A1 is your outline, A2, A3, and A4 are different layers you can add to the outline to add different colors to your seashell. There are also coordinating dies for this, so you would get the coordinating dies for the stamp set or all of the images. There's also some coordinating dies for the sentiments, and a really great feature about this is that these shell dies match up with the panels that I just showed you. So if you happen to pick up the stamp set coordinating die, you could possibly get these panels that have that toner printed on them, and you're going to see that the dies would cut these out. So what you could do here is foil this panel to get that shiny outline and then possibly use that coordinating stamp set to add the different layers and different colors to your seashell. So that is just one of my ideas. I have not tried this yet, but I think it's a super fun idea. I definitely had to add this stamp set to my top favorites for right now in this release. This is the Bad Day Good Vibes stamp set from CZ Design and Simon Says Stamp. Her stamp sets are usually super popular and sell out pretty fast because she comes up with the most unique sayings. There's also a coordinating die for that one. And then my next stamp set that I thought was really unique is Just Breathe. So it has some very encouraging sentiments or sentiments that make the person feel like they are not alone. There are also some coordinating dies for that one and a coordinating die for that brush stroke, which I thought was kind of neat because you don't see that very often where you can die cut that out. Then there is the Crochet Blocks stencil. I do have a card that I'll be sharing a little bit later on this month using the stencil. I thought it was a really neat design to have kind of that quilted block look to it. And then next I have a few different standalone dies that really stood out to me in this release, starting with the Little Banners Basics. Hello, love you, miss you. Definitely some great basics to have. I will be using this in a future card project. We also have You Brighten My Day. I'm kind of into the kind of hello and encouragement cards right now is what I've been feeling right lately for my creating. And this is a great size for your card front, just enough where it's not going to consume your design, but also stand out to the recipient. And I thought I'd better pull these out just to kind of give you an idea of the size of these. You have the banner die, and then there's also kind of a shadow that you can add behind the banner. Next, I picked out this Divine Peony die set. Of course, I absolutely love peonies. I can never have too many stamps or dies that consist of peonies. And this one is an entire plate. So you could either die cut this out of white cardstock and ink blend, or you could cut this out from various colors of cardstock to create your peony. I find it super helpful that Simon Says Stamp has the colored design on the front, so it's a great starting place for you. Another one of my favorites is the Dancing Floral Vines, and this one I'm definitely having on a card project I will be sharing very shortly. It is a beautiful floral design. You can die cut it once to put on your card front and have it maybe from the top or the bottom, or die cut it twice to fill up your card panel. You have one die for the vines and flowers, kind of your base layer, and then another die for the leaves and the individual flowers. There are many, many more products in this release, but these are some of my top favorites. Now, I do have one more main thing I want to share, and that one is this Brilliant Hibiscus. This is a 3D embossing folder with two cutting dies for your flowers. And then Simon Says Stamp is also coming out with their own scoring board. So this bone folder, it took me a minute, you'll have to bear with me, Took me a second to figure out exactly how to get that off, but really the bone folder included just kind of slides off to the right-hand side to remove it. So it kind of clips on. Once you slide it back on, it does not go anywhere. It's going to stay there. So this is a great size for traveling. And then on the back, it gives you some measurements to create envelopes. And when I tilt this away from the light, you can see that there are some designs there that you could use your bone folder to emboss on your envelopes or your card fronts. Now, my last two products I'm sharing are my top favorites, and I'm going to be creating a card with these two products for you. It is the Good Vibes Word Die, another one that I'm sure is going to be super popular. And then I have the Happy Rainbow Stencil, which gives this beautiful design on the back, and it creates a huge card front. So I'm going to be creating a 5x7 card today. Now, I know some of you might be looking at this and going, oh no, Mindy, not another rainbow card. I am not sorry though, because rainbows make me happy and I think this design is really fun. But keep in mind, you don't have to use rainbow colors. You could make this very monotone. You could do a whole bunch of different shades of blue, or maybe just do the cool end of the rainbow. So it doesn't have to be rainbow colors. That's just what I am drawn to, and it makes for a very happy card. So I am going to place a piece of cardstock. This is Hammermill cardstock that's cut to 5.5 by 8.5. And I have a little bit of repositionable tape on the back that is going to secure it down to my white glass mat that I have here. And I'm using this white glass mat because then I'm going to be able to see the colors. Since I'm going through so many colors of the rainbow, I want to make sure I'm not contaminating my rainbow with ink that I can't see on my black work surface. So I lined up my first layer of the stencil, starting with that top band of the rainbow. I have the stencil secured down over my cardstock, just using some fun Lawn Fawn washi tape. And I'm ink blending on Punch Positively Saturated ink from Simon Says Stamp using my large blending brush. Now, you'll have to look at the packaging to see what order you need to work down to this next one. I kind of experimented a little bit off screen, and I knew that this next one on the first layer of the stencil, I wanted to use green, and that was Limelicious. And then this last band, or is it called bands? Bands of the Rainbow? This last one, I am using, I think this one is Lilac ink. As I was ink blending on this color, I had started kind of in the center and worked my way out, and I really liked how it was darker towards the one side of the rainbow. And I decided to kind of do that consistently through the rest of the bands of the rainbow. So I came back in with a small blending brush and the Limelicious, which is the same ink I had used. I decided that just wasn't dark enough to give me enough contrast. So I'm coming back in with Perfection, which I think is the next kind of shade in that trio of ink. So I do it a little bit darker towards the inside of the rainbow and then let it kind of fade out to the lighter shade towards the outside. I went back up to my red, and that one I just stuck with Punch. I figured it would be enough of a contrast there. Now keep in mind that was just the first layer of the stencil. Now what I'm going to do before I do any more ink blending is I sprayed a little bit of rubbing alcohol on that microfiber cloth, and I'm wiping up the area around my stencil so I don't pick up any of that excess ink. I'm coming in with the second layer of the rainbow. I lined that up, and I'm going to once again kind of hold that down with my washi tape. And this next color I'm coming in, or the first color on this layer of the stencil, is going to be Cantaloupe. And I am doing this fairly light-handed because I want to add that additional kind of darker shade towards the inner part of the rainbow. So I'm trying to keep the first application light-handed. Then coming in with the smaller blending brush and adding that darker shade and kind of having it fade out so that it almost looks two-toned, or I guess more of a gradient effect is the word I'm looking for. I was getting a little too close for comfort down to that next open area of the stencil. So if you are a little worried about over blending, you might want to use some Post-it tape to mask off the other areas of the stencil. I just happened to wipe up that orange because I did not want my orange to mix in with this next color, which is Tide Pool. It is a beautiful teal. So again, I am just coming in really light-handed and then going to go back around it, except this time I'm going to bring in a detail blending brush because it was tiny enough where I'm not going to get into the other areas of my stencil, and I really just wanted that very inner edge. So it's starting to get a little cramped in space there, which is where those smaller blending brushes really help. And then this last color here that I'm adding is violet. So it's a different shade of purple and also a little bit darker. I was able to really keep that darker edge kind of focused down here and then just did more light-handed to give that gradient look. And then the last layer of the stencil I'm going to be filling in the rest of these bands of the rainbow. I'm coming in with lemonade for my yellow, again, trying to keep that gradient. The next color I'm going to be using is marine, which is a really nice kind of soft sky blue, I would say. And it just fit really well in with the teal that's right above it. I thought about going maybe some pinks and reds at the top, but I really like how I added the additional blues. And right down at the very bottom, which you can't really see with my camera right now, was a little heart. And I actually had masked that off with Post-it tape because that was a little bit too close to my blues. So for the heart, I am just going to be bringing in that punch ink that punch ink again. Here, I could have brought in some of those pinks, but I had a feeling I wasn't going to be showing that heart. It was going to get cut off. Now we have our final layer of the stencil, which is going to be adding these fun details. So I'm going to be doing mine in a lunar paste from Simon Hurley. This is slippery when wet. So it's pretty much like a gold. I think some sort of white would have looked really cool here too, or maybe a glitter white, something like that. I was kind of fixated on gold at the moment. I'm just going to take some of this out with my palette knife and then spread it all the way across the front of this panel. So this is a pretty big panel and lots of details to fill in. I will suggest that as soon as you're done, I take my stencil over to my sink, I spray it with Dawn Power Wash, and then I kind of wipe my hand over it using some pretty hot water. And that's going to get all of that paste off. Now, the Simon Hurley paste, it actually dries fairly quick. It's a little muggy in my house right now because we have been getting hit with some major heat. So it took a little bit longer to dry, but I would say maybe 15 minutes. As long as you're not putting your application on super thick, this stuff actually dries pretty quick. So once I smoothed that out, I removed my washi tape. I'm going to just carefully pick up the stencil, and I like to wipe off my palette knife and my work surface using a baby wipe, and then I'll clean up the glass mat with some Windex or glass cleaner. So here is a quick look at my full entire rainbow panel, and I'm going to set that off on the side to dry. But I did notice I got a little bit carried away with the gold paste. There's like a little bit of smudge there, and that's where my sentiment's going to end up going. So I had to change the focus of my card a little bit just because I found that little oops. Now I'm using this Good Vibes die, which I completely forgot I had done one ahead of time. I just kind of stuck it in the envelope with the die. So I'm going to use it. All I did was die cut out that backer from white cardstock, and the word Good Vibes, I used some brushed black cardstock from Spellbinders. So while I'm waiting for my panel to completely dry, normally I do my die cutting and my sentiment while things are drying, but that's all done. So I am going to create my card base. I have a white piece of cardstock here, heavyweight cardstock, that is 8.5 by 11, and I am going to trim it down to 10 inches so I can score it at 5. And then, so it's going to be 10 inches by 7 or 7 by 10. And then I'm going to use that new scoring board and the scoring tool that's with it. And I scored it at 5 inches. So it's going to be 5 by 7. I'm going to fold that in half. And then I have a thicker bone folder, a Teflon bone folder, and I like using this to reinforce that fold. So I have my card base created, and I also have my sentiment waiting in the wings. Now I just needed my panel to dry. So I kind of walked away for a few minutes, came back, I touched it, my panel is good to go, and now I'm going to trim this down. Now I didn't want to trim anything off of that left-hand side because I wanted to keep all that piece of the red part of the rainbow. So my heart ended up getting chopped off, but I'm just trimming my edges off and I'm creating that into a 5 by 7. So this is going to be the entire front of my card. I'm going to add some strong tape behind my panel to secure that down. So I usually like to go all the way around the edge of my card and then a couple strips down the center. And I always kind of start down in the bottom left-hand corner, line my edge up and then press it down to secure that in place. So mine is a side folding card base, and I've really been enjoying these larger card fronts, especially when I can fill it up completely like this. I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to add foam squares behind it. So I filled it in as much as I could. Some of the areas I had to trim my foam squares down into smaller strips, which I used my new Tim Holtz recoil scissors, which I have been really loving. I took out the original spring and put in the tighter spring, and I love the feel of these scissors. So this is actually a recreation of a card that I sent into Simon Says Stamp, and my rainbow is going the other direction. So I will share that at the end of this video, my original card front. Now, keep in mind, I had to kind of change up my idea though, because I had found that little boo-boo with my paste where it kind of slipped underneath the stencil. So my sentiment worked perfectly right there. This is just going in a different direction than I intended, but I don't think you could really go wrong in any direction. There's a lot going on with this card front, so I did not do any embellishments. And now here is a final look. This is the first card I created. So this was the original card design, and then this is the one that I created for you in today's video. Both of them are super fun and super cheerful. And again, I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog. I hope you enjoyed today's video and taking a look at some of my favorites from the Simon Says Stamp Good Vibes release, and that you found inspiration in the card that I created. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon with another card tutorial.